you sure? Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. All right. Good afternoon, Alyssa. How have you been doing?
I'm good. I'm good this week. I'm good.
Good.
It's just been a
Okay.
long it's been a long week. It feels like Friday already, but I know it's only Wednesday, so a lot of good things have happened. My sister had her baby last night.
Oh, congratulations to
So,
her.
thank you. I'm finally an aunt. I've been waiting patiently for this baby to come. Her due date was like 2 weeks ago, so but yes, I'm finally an aunt. I get to meet him on Saturday. So I'm also just very anxiously waiting for the weekend to come because, yeah.
Right, but some like it seems like that would be like a good anxious thing, right? A happy like, oh, I can't wait to meet my little baby nephew. That
Yes,
sounds really great.
I have a lot of like anxious excitement things that are coming up. Getting to meet my nephew. Um, I've been doing some more wedding planning things, so I'm getting closer to having like my hair trial and my makeup trial and my wedding shower. And my girlfriend's also getting married from high school. We're not super close anymore, but she actually just invited me to her wedding shower, which is a week before mine. So it'll be really cool to go to that and see her and all of those things. So just things to look forward to, but does add that little anxiety bug in my stomach because I just want it to be here already.
Yep. So what I'm hearing is a lot of great things are happening, a lot of great things are developing for you. And it seems like you're getting some enjoyment out of all of these things.
Hmm.
And then, sorry, I'm kind of recovering from a little illness. So if I cough a little bit, I apologize.
No, that's okay. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right. So we talked a lot about the great things that have happened to us in the last couple of days. Are there any concerns you have right now?
Um, yes, I mean some of the same work concerns that we've kind of been talking about. So sorry if I repeat myself, but um work has been a little challenging again just because it's like that ebb and flow of people just not getting along and I'm just I'm trying to be respectful and professional as their supervisor, but I'm also just kind of like ready to throw in the towel and be like, I'm done with this. Um, so it's just one of those things. Normally I can kind of just let it go and kind of work through it. Some of the things I'm noticing, like one of my staff is really just not doing things right. Um, so that's frustrating because as a newer supervisor too, it's hard to guide someone when I haven't done the job myself. So it's hard to build like that rapport with that. But also, I just think there's been a lot of things that have kind of slipped through the cracks. So it's just, I think what I'm going to do is just like reframe like our working relationship anyways and say, hey, like, you know, there's been quite a few things that have happened lately, in terms of like things that have been caught on audits. So I think we just really need to sit down and talk about them, making sure that, are these things just being missed, or do we need to have more support here and really build our knowledge in this area? And so I think I'm going to start there and do that first, and then kind of go from there. But it's really hard to talk to this person, because regardless of how you say anything and what you say, they always feel like you're attacking them. They're like defensive walls go up immediately. Even I feel like it can be in the most kind way and the softest way, and they just immediately go to, well, I messed this up again. It's like, that's just exhausting in itself. So I'm gonna try different ways and see. Um, I really hope it's not actually that this person just doesn't care, because that would be disappointing to learn. But it is also the same person that's been looking for work elsewhere for a while. So I'm wondering if we're getting to a point where we just need to have a bigger conversation.
Mhm. Right. So what I heard was like some frustration, right? We've talked about the frustration you've been experiencing, but it seemed like we found a little bit of a positive, like a wanting to reframe how we how we go about trying to solve this issue at work,
Mhm.
and that we've come to this understanding that this one coworker is very hard to talk to, or it, to me it sounds like they're not very understanding or accepting of feedback, maybe, right? They take it very personally as like
Mhm.
an attack and maybe not as an opportunity to grow or such. And right, you said that you would be disappointed if they're just purposely doing their work incorrect.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, we work in a field with as like human services. So we work. I have case managers that I oversee, and those case managers work directly with customers who sometimes, when they walk through the door, they are at their lowest of all lows. And a lot of customers come to us of all walks of life, but a lot of customers who come to us have so many barriers and challenges, and sometimes all they need is just that like respect given back to them. And I think this staff does a really good job of like building that connection with customers in terms of like understanding them, but it's the policy side of like the documentation, and it's the technical side that they're just really not following through on, and they're doing things incorrectly. And I worry a little bit too because I've only been here 8 months now, and they've been here going on 2 full years, and I'm catching things that they're doing incorrectly. So that is kind of a red flag for me because I worry that, where's the disconnect here? So I thank you for listening because I want to just kind of just like talk out loud a little bit of what my action plan is. And I think I want to like reframe the conversation a little bit. I want to be very careful with how I address this person, but um, yeah.
Right. Yes, so I'm hearing, right, you work in human services. Your guys' mission is to help those in need. You said you work with a lot of customers who are in the lowest low. And from what I'm seeing and hearing, it seems like you take a lot of pride in your work and that
Mhm.
you really want to honor the people that come through your front door. And this coworker is maybe not meeting those same standards. And it sounds like maybe you have a lot of pressure, or you feel a lot of pressure because you're catching things that in only your first 8 months when they have a lot more work experience in this field than you.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. And then so you talked more about this reframing, right? You brought that back up. What are the plans for your reframing?
I think what I'm trying to do, at least, is talk. I want to address. So I'm trying to be careful because every time this person does something incorrectly, there is another staff person in the office who is at equal level who just nitpicks everything. Some things I completely agree with. But I'm also wondering too if it's coming to the point that they're purposely not doing certain things because they're so tired of being called out, which isn't good. I mean, either situation is not good, but um I want to reframe it by I want to just say, "Hey, like let's talk about this." I think sometimes I go into the conversation and I need to have a little bit more confidence myself. Because to be honest, I don't want to have those conversations. I wish it was just I wished my connection with this person was the same as it was with everyone, but it's just not. Don't we just don't mesh 100% well. So being the supervisor, it can be kind of challenging, like trying to navigate that myself. So I want to reframe it by like just addressing the situation, like where I'm direct, because I've noticed sometimes I talk and I beat around the bush. So I just want to be more direct with him, but also just like very soft. So that's kind of how I want to reframe it, because how I've been doing it in the past is more of like, all right, let's talk about this. Let's pull these customers' cases up. Let's see, see some things that we need to look at here. But I think I need to be a little bit more like, hey, this was this this was pulled on the audit. Let's talk about it. What questions do you have first? These are the patterns. Let's talk about why we're seeing this rather than just like that baseline of, oh, you did this incorrect. But let's talk about why you did this incorrect. Like, where was your thought pattern here? So I want to try that and see if that works.
So it sounds like we want to take more of a direct approach. Like even if we don't want to have these kind of conversations, like still knowing that we have to, we have to be
Mhm.
like direct, right? That's what I'm getting from your job as a supervisor.
Mhm. Yeah. I think, well, and in the nicest way too, sometimes I kind of want to say like, you're lucky this is coming from me and not someone else because there are other people who are going to be very harsh and direct. I'm trying to be soft because I know how this person receives feedback. They're not very receptive. So it'd be better coming from me rather than someone else where this person would just completely shut down. So I want to be mindful of that. They're still in their role, they're still doing what they need to do. It's just really what it comes down to is we're just not following policy the way that we need to, and we just need to focus more on that. But I also I want to show that empathy because there's so much that happens in a day for a case manager. So, and it's hard to, like I said, it's hard to relate to them because I've never been a case manager. I came in as a supervisor. I did not come in as a case manager, and they've been case managers. So that also adds just that layer of difficulty, I guess, because I haven't been in their shoes. So I'm sometimes wondering if that respect piece is there, I guess, and I don't want to overthink it, but I'm hoping that I'm respected in my role. Maybe, not the most knowledgeable because it takes a long time to learn those things, but yeah.
Right? So what I'm hearing is you're very considerate towards your coworkers, right? You don't want to be harsh and direct with them because you care about them, and so, maybe that's a strong word, but like you want to respect them and you hope that they respect you. And
Hmm.
part of you is wondering if you do have that respect from them, right?
Hmm. Yeah, because it's, I feel sometimes that I really try and like take the lead without like asking for help with like other supervisors. And I'm like, okay, like this is how I think this is going to be. This is how we should do it. And then sometimes I'm wrong. But it's for me outside of working with like my staff, it's that bigger picture of, okay, I don't want to ask too many questions because I need to figure out things myself in order to learn. But sometimes I feel like the training wheels are still on because I don't know everything. And if I'm telling my staff things that are incorrect, I have no problem with going back to them. There's no like embarrassment or anything there. That's not at all. I totally own when I do things incorrectly. But it's also, it hinders their growth. Because if I'm going to tell you one thing and then I'm going to come back and tell you another thing later, that's not helpful. So it's just some of those things. Like I've learned so much in the last 8 months. Like I can't believe it's just been 8 months. Um, so I think I just need to keep working on just providing more direct support. Um, I think I had stepped back a little bit compared to before. So I think I just need to be more hands-on with this case manager. And I think that will also help with our relationship as well. Um, so yeah, that's my plan anyways.
Yeah. That sounds like a very good plan to start things with. So, do you feel right? We talked about how last week when they had told you that they were looking for other jobs, and you had discussed how you thought like, oh, maybe the situation will, you know, more or less fix itself. Are we still on that same boat? Do we feel better? Do we feel worse? How are we feeling?
Well, I feel like I have a different approach on it because I'm sorry, I'm just want to make sure I'm trying to be respectful. But there's other things that I'd like to say. But I feel like I have a different understanding and approach when someone tells me that they're looking for a job because working in the staffing industry for as long as I did, I know the job market right now is just bleh. It's terrible. There's a million different jobs posted everywhere, but you're one of 2,000 applicants. honestly,
Mhm.
even if you don't live in a big town. It's just the job market is really, really tough right now. They said that hopefully after, springtime, it's going to get a little bit better. So ultimately, I want what's best for this case manager, and I know they are no longer happy in their role. I just need to keep doing my job and make sure they're still doing their job, which they are. They're just not doing it correctly. Um, and I think what's really lacking is attention to detail skills. I don't know, again, I don't know if these were skills that were a strength or a weakness of this person previously, but I'm noticing that over the past 3 months, it's drastically turning into a weakness. But for what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to determine, okay, was this already an area that really needed help and just wasn't focused on because that other supervisor before me just couldn't be very hands-on? Or is this something because you've been looking for other jobs that you've just kind of been letting things fall on the wayside? So that's something I'm trying to determine, and that by providing that direct support, I hopefully can. Ultimately, I want them to do what's best for them. I do think they're actively looking for work, to answer your question. I'm happy they're actively looking for work. I hope they find something where they're able to move on, because I think it's also kind of hindering their like mental health too. I don't think that they feel super valued in their role, not by leadership, but by their coworkers. And I see that, I recognize that too. So I'm trying to provide that support and also bridge that gap. But ultimately, I'm a true believer by you don't have to like everyone that you work with, but you have to respect each other. So, but to answer your question, I think, I'm very supportive of him doing that. And I also really hope he finds what's best for him, but I know how challenging of a market it is. I don't think he's made any progress. I think he really thought he did, which he did share with me more recently, that he felt like he was in a like, final stages of like the interview process of like references, but then ultimately that turned out to not be true. So, and I know that can be so defeating too. I've been there. I've worked with many people who have been there for 3 years in the staffing industry. Um, so I feel like I have a cool approach to it, but also it's a balance. I don't know, I'm trying to find it. Sometimes I feel like it goes really well and sometimes it doesn't. It helps even just to talk about it out loud. Um, Sometimes I answer my own questions when I word vomit everything, but it's fine.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad to hear all of that. And I just want to say once again to like applaud your character, right? You're concerned about your coworker even though they're causing you a lot of stress and a lot of like not good times at work, to
Mhm.
say the least, right? But you're still considerate and you're still caring towards them. And sometimes being kind is not always easy. So I just want to applaud your character at this moment.
I appreciate that. I think about that sometimes too. Like sometimes I think there's such a stigmatism about like a person who's in a leadership role or a person who's a supervisor or a manager. I feel like I have a very bubbly personality, and that shows through everything that I do. I don't care if I'm the president of a company. I am going to be goofy with you because that's just who I am. That's how I build rapport. Um, I don't feel like that's always very well received by the other leadership members on our team, but I'm trying to also just be more mindful of how they would like me to be in my role, but also not giving away part of myself. So I try to be mindful of it anyways.
Yeah, and that's really great. So we've talked about your work and we've discussed how just bringing this up and talking about it can be very alleviating for you. And then I took note of a possible goal we had from a prior session, and the goal was how to be okay with bad days. Right? So we
Hmm.
and we kind of discussed how sometimes we don't have the greatest days at work, and how do we feel, what are the first thoughts that come to your mind after I brought up that goal we wrote down?
Two things. I think one, I remind myself that this job is does not define me. It is not who I am. It's what I do right now. As we've talked about too, my goal is to be a counselor. So that is something that's part number two, I guess, of that is this isn't my forever role. I can look forward to other things. So when I do have bad days, I'm trying to just kind of shrug it off. And also, I know and trying to remind myself everyone has bad days. Um, and sometimes I do have really good days at work. Like, even with sometimes I feel like it falls apart, I just find little ways to like make it a good day or like make people laugh. And also, like, after having a bad day and coming home to like my fiance and my dog and my cat is also really helpful. So I think that's how I'm trying to spin that in my mind. And I think the more I do it, the more it'll become easier. Also with not today, but the weather hopefully getting better. Will hopefully I'll be able to do some more exercise and do things outside. The sun is lasting longer, so they're small things all together, but I'm trying to focus on all those little things, and I think it's helped me. Like today was a hard day, I would say maybe even a bad day, but I didn't let it impact. Once I left work, I left it. I shut it off. I was like, okay. I had to get up this morning at 6:30 because I had four staff members out of my nine staff team call in. So it was a lot of navigating. Technically, my workday doesn't start till 8, but I handled it, I dealt with it, and I just moved on. So I still want to keep it as a goal, but I do want to keep doing those check-ins with you because I think even I wasn't actually even recognizing that I was doing those things. I just kind of pulled them out. So I think as long as we keep talking about it, that would be really helpful.
Yeah. Of course. I'm always here to listen. And like if you find it beneficial, you could also possibly start journaling if you have any interest
Mm,
in that, right? Some little bibliotherapy, some might say.
yeah, yeah, I can do that. I have a few journals. I like to buy things that I don't need, and that's okay. But sometimes when it's like just very visually appealing, like I actually have a journal right here. It's just very visually appealing to me. I think I've only used 2 pages and I've had this for a year. But I think it could be some one of those things that I just like encourage myself to do a little more of like putting that time and energy into myself. And also, I think wedding planning is very helpful. So I'm curious kind of to see how I handle my bad days after wedding planning. Um, it's been a nice distraction, but also I think it's also added un like undefined layers of stress. Good stress, but still stress. So yeah. I could start journaling for sure. I think that'll be helpful. I want to also journal too where when I'm getting headaches and when I'm feeling really high moments of stress. I want to kind of tie those two things in together because I think they're very, very correlated. I get headaches almost every day, and I've noticed the pain intensifies when I'm very stressed out or like something happened out of the blue that I wasn't ready for.
Yeah, it's very important to like notice those patterns, especially if you, like you said, you're experiencing these headaches every day. I think it would be very beneficial to start logging that, and then maybe you can see what the triggers are, and potentially you can use all that information to help yourself. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
yeah. I think I'll do that, and I can. How long would I guess would you suggest to journal for before you really start like seeing patterns? Like a month, a few months, I guess. That's kind of where I think I'll tell myself I'll start, but I think I would do better with it, like knowing I kind of have like a goal or like an end date of like a due date.
Yeah, I think I would recommend journaling for about a month or two,
Okay.
and then maybe making some life changes around after that time. But if
Okay.
there's ever like a very striking pattern that you're seeing, like I feel like you could make immediate changes if you wanted. Like you notice some days you're not drinking a lot of water because like
Mm,
if we're hydrated or not, that can very affect our if our brain's feeling all happy or not.
yeah.
And then you could like that would be a very small issue and like but a
Okay.
very noticeable one. So there's like some
Okay.
room for your own digression.
Perfect. No, that's helpful. I think so if I start, it's March 5th. If I start, I could like do a check-in like maybe like May 5th or something, just to kind of like give 2 full months at it and kind of see where I'm at. And I think if I just somehow can build it into my like routine, I'm not a huge routine person, I've noticed. I try to be, but like I don't wake up at the same time every day. I don't do the same thing every time. I try to. I have a more of a nighttime routine, I guess. So maybe I could do it like when I'm like sitting in bed instead of scrolling on my phone for an hour. I could pull out, if I kept my journal maybe on my bedstand, I could pull it out and fill it out, hopefully.
Mhm.
Maybe.
All right.
I'll try.
It's one of those things where you'd have to like dedicate time to do it, right?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
Okay. So as we stand right, we talked about our concerns at work. We talked a little bit about a prior goal we had. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about right now then?
Um, I see here. I guess maybe just kind of talking a little bit more about like my family and stuff and maybe oh well, uh I am also not really stressed, but something else that's been kind of running through my mind, or I guess a challenge that I faced is I'm having, I can't remember if I mentioned this last time, but I first was having a really hard time trying to plan my bridal shower. Finally just picked a date and just went with it. Now I'm getting really excited because we're doing all like the decorations, we're doing like the prize baskets and the games and all of those fun things. And now it's May, or it's not May, I'm sorry, it's March. I get married in August. Technically not even August because it's August 1st. So like to me, yes, it's August, but like not really. Um, so I am trying to plan a bachelorette party, which I don't feel like I should have to do as the bride. I feel like my maid of honor should do that. But my maid of honor just had a baby yesterday. So kind of taking those responsibilities off of her because I absolutely know she needs to focus on her baby. Um, so my girlfriend who would have most likely been my maid of honor without having my stepsister in my life, um, lives in Hawaii. So she can help me plan, but also I don't know if she can be there. So I don't know if I really want her to help me plan because it would mean more if she could be there. And I also know that she's coming back for my actual wedding, of course. So flights are super expensive. So I'm trying to be
Mhm.
very like mindful of that. But it's just kind of frustrating trying to like plan this. Like normally I love planning things. Like I like creating groups, I like creating teams. Like I love planning, but this is I do not love planning. Like people are busy on weekends that I'm choosing. Um it's a lot of money. I don't know who else to invite. I can't invite my mom because like I've shared with you last time, like my mom is in recovery, so like if we do a lot of drinking, I want to be careful. Like she already gonna be around it at the wedding, so like I don't want to create more uncomfortableness comfort. I don't know, it's fine. I don't want to make her uncomfortable, basically, is what I'm trying to say. But one of my other girlfriends in my wedding is a dispatcher. So she works on every other weekend. And so it's like, this is so challenging. This is literally so challenging that I don't even want to do it. And I'm okay with not doing it, but everyone else keeps pushing me to do it. And I'm like, why? I'm gonna have like two people there. So I'm also just trying to also like think back, what's gonna make me happy? What do I want to do? And I really want to go to the Dane County, so the Madison Farmers Market on Saturdays is like my happy place. I love being there. Um, so I might just do that, and if you can come, you can come. You can't, fine, and then we all just maybe go home that night, or I don't know. I want it to be fun, but also I don't look at my bachelorette party like I know some people do of like, oh, it's my last night to be single with my ladies. I don't look at it that way because I've been with Kevin for it feels like a million years now. So I just want to do something that I enjoy with people that I enjoy being around. Um, and I think the farmers market would be fun because then my mom could come. And my mom has been my rock during this wedding planning. She's been phenomenal. If I did not have her, I'd probably just close my eyes and say, all right, we're doing this because it's very stressful. But that's kind of the only other thing that I'm really dealing with, I guess. Um, yeah.
Yeah, so right, so what I heard, like we talked, I believe we did talk about this in one of our prior sessions, like, and we there was a big concern about the date because, like you said, one of your bridesmaids is in Hawaii, one's a dispatcher, and then it's like
Hmm.
trying to coordinate all the different schedules. And we talked about how that was causing you a little bit of stress. But it seems like you
Hmm.
said you picked a date for the party.
For the wedding
Or
shower, we picked the date, which felt good. That was
okay,
just one of those things that we just kind of checked off our list. We got our venue. We have everything done with that basically, which is really wonderful because it's such a beautiful space. You really don't even need a lot of decorations. So that's so wonderful. Bachelorette party. I have a few dates in mind, but no, I have not picked that. It's, I think my plan, my goal, my identified goal is that by the end of this month, I either want to have a date picked, maybe not exactly what we're doing, but have a date picked, have the people who can come confirm that they can come, even if it's only for a day or one night or whatever. And if I can't figure it out by the end of March, I'm just not going to do something because there's so many other things I can focus on. My dress comes this month. So I'm super excited about that. And I would just rather spend that energy into things that I can actually like tangibly control when I can't control who can or cannot come to a bachelorette party. So that's my plan there.
yeah, I really like how you are being conscious of understanding that there are some things in life you can control and that there are some things you can't control. And
Hmm.
sometimes those uncontrollables can cause us a lot of stress. But recognizing that allows us to put more effort into the things we can control.
Yeah,
And with your plan of your bachelorette party, I really like how you set a date for if I don't have a decision by then. You've you're being comfortable with the that you just won't have one. And you even
hmm,
said, if only me and a couple of my friends, like, and we go to a market, that's
yeah,
equally as awesome as long as it's something you like, right? Because that is about, right? It's not about your last night being single, so to say. It's more like I'm getting together with people I care about and we're gonna have fun together.
I know. It's it's really crazy when you think about how much planning goes into a wedding. It's one day. It's not even a day. I mean, it's a day to kind of for like the bride because it's like early in the morning all the way to the end of the night. But it's like a ceremony, like the actual wedding, like the ceremonies last like 20 minutes. And then like the reception is like a few hours, but it's like there's so much money and time and energy. We actually were thinking about eloping. And we were gonna maybe do a destination wedding, but we have a lot of family members who we really want to be there and they can't get on a plane, which is okay. Um, but yeah, I appreciate the acknowledgement with you know, that recognized that I just want to do what, feels right and what makes sense for me. Um, because also we have a dog who we treat like our human child. And so one of us has to make sure we're available. So then, of course, I can't do it the same weekend that Kevin does because that would be convenient because then it would already be like checked and done. But then my fur child will not know what to do or where to go. And he is a mama's boy, so he gets attached to my hip. Um, but yeah, I think I just need, what I'm recognizing is sometimes I have a hard time making decisions, but I'm trying to be better about it.
And how does that make you feel, this difficulty making decisions? You said you've noticed it more frequently.
I think I'm trying two different things with it. It makes me feel, I think it adds anxiety. It adds that. It's like that fear of the unknown. Like when I think of anxiety, I think of fear of the unknown. I tie those two things together, because I think anxiety is used very frequently. And sometimes it's correct and sometimes it isn't correct. It's not actually that identified feeling. Um, but when I'm feeling like I can't make a decision, I also get kind of frustrated with myself because it's like, it's not that hard. Like I recognize that, but yet I still can't make the decision. So what I've been trying to do, like I just did it actually for my centerpieces when my mom was up this weekend and we were working on like centerpieces for the tables. And she's like, "Well, do you like this, or this?" I'm like, "That one. That is the one. We're going with it. Let's take a picture of it." So we are just committed to it. So I'm just trying to like commit to them like quicker and just not spend so much time thinking about it because how I reflect, some of the reasons I think I'm indecisive is because I care too much what everybody else's opinion is. And I need to stop. So I need to focus more on me and like that self-love for myself and confidence that I'm making the right decision. This is my day. This is my job. Like, so I'm just going to kind of work on just being like, just if anything, maybe I'll just put things in a hat and I'll just pull it out and be like, that's what we're eating tonight. Decision made. Because I don't know how else to do it.
No, I hear what you're saying. Like, right, there's a lot of decisions that we have to make in our daily lives, and it can be very stressful and cause us a lot of concern over the opinions of others. When sometimes, our opinion's the only one that matters, but there
Hmm.
are also people in our lives whose opinions do matter to us. And maybe taking some time to reflect on whose opinion do we actually care about alongside our own could be a fun activity for you.
Yeah.
But and also realizing that sometimes when we make a decision, like you say, you pull your little dinner plan from the hat and then you're like, ooh, I don't actually know if I want this for dinner, right? Sometimes by knowing, like actually picking
Hmm.
something we don't like, it gives us more of a idea of what we really do want in that moment.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I think that helps. I think sometimes too, like I don't know if you've ever heard other people do this, but sometimes Kevin will be like, where do we want to eat? Because like we'll very rarely go out to eat, but we like try and make that decision ahead of time. Where do we want to go to eat? And sometimes I'll give him like two options I know I don't want, and then one option I really want, and he can tell, so he just picks the one that I really. But it's a good point. I think having options is also really important, and it's part of that, like, having control and being in control,
Hmm.
and I'm working through that. That I do have control, I can control this, I am a leader, I am competent, this is my wedding, so just, like, that self-love and just noting that for myself is really important, so I'll continue to work on that.
Yeah, it sounds like we're taking great strides and making a lot of steps in developing our sense of self-confidence, self-importance, self-love. And it's really glad to hear. And I also love the little story you told about you and Kevin because it just shows your relationship that he knows which one you actually really want to go
Mhm.
to. It's very good to see such a great relationship.
Yeah, he's the good one.
He's the good one. So we're coming close to our time. Is there anything else you want to say in the last couple minutes?
I don't think so. I think I am good. Thank you for listening. Sometimes, like I said, I know I talk in circles, so I appreciate you listening and helping me.
Yeah, of course. I'm always here. All right. So that's all the time we have for today, Alyssa. All right. Shall I see you next week the same time?
Yes, same time.
All right.
And I'll
Sounds
start my
good.
journal.
Oh, perfect. Yes.
Okay.
All right. Good luck with your journal. See you
Thank
later.
you.
Of course.
I'll unspotlight us. Oh, I'll stop recording first. That is what I will do first.